Alright guys, Tom here and welcome to a new video, and today I'm bringing you my WWE Hell in a Cell 2014 review. Wow, what a show guys. I thought that was one hell of a WWE pay-per-view. That was absolutely awesome. I'm going to give this show an 8 out of 10. I thought this pay-per-view was great and certainly one of the best pay-per-views of the year. Absolutely tremendous pay-per-view. Going into the pay-per-view, there was great build, the card looked great, and the final show, the full show, was absolutely awesome. It delivered. 8 out of 10 from me. I'm ecstatic. I thought it was a great show. Good show by the WWE. A fantastic job. Wow. Great show. In this video, I'm going to be reviewing every single match. I thought it was awesome. Wow. Great show. Topped off with a Bray Wyatt return. This show had everything except Brock Lesnar. It really did. This was a great show. Bray Wyatt returns, an amazing main event. The main event we wanted to main event the show. Ambrose versus Rollins. Cena and Orton surprised us as well. That was a great match. Ziggler against Cesaro, one of the greatest matches of the year. AJ against Paige. We finally get an awesome match between AJ and Paige. All in all, a tremendous show. Absolutely awesome. I'm really disappointed because I got 7 out of the 8 predictions right. Guess which one I got wrong? The main event. So I was really nervous for the result of that match, but I got it wrong. But I did get 7 of my predictions right, even though it was quite a predictable card. It was a great card. It was a great show. Loved it. Let's get down to this and start with the kickoff show. There's nothing much to write home about this kickoff show. Once again, a whole hour of pretty much nothing. I remember when the kickoff show was only half an hour, it was a lot more short, a lot more snappy, and a lot more entertaining, and the matches were a hell of a lot more interesting and entertaining. But they have an hour of the kickoff show, and then we had the Miz TV with Damien Mizdow, which sucked. One of the worst segments of the year, achieved nothing whatsoever. There was a cool little promo with Sheamus in there, bro kicking the camera, but apart from that, didn't progress the feud, didn't build the match a lot either. Nothing out of that. Didn't bring anything new to the table. Huge waste of time. And then we got an impromptu match between Mark Henry and Bo Dallas. No idea why that match is happening. No idea why they didn't advertise it before. No idea what the hell this kickoff show was. The match ended in a minute. Bo Dallas, the younger star, shouldn't be losing to an old veteran like Mark Henry, who should be really putting over Bo Dallas in that situation. No idea what this kickoff show was. A really irrelevant hour of plugging all the matches on the pay-per-view. Come on, the WWE. Most 90% of the people watching the kickoff show already have the network, so there isn't much point plugging the pay-per-view when most of us are going to get to see it for free anyway. The kickoff show really means nothing anymore. There's no point advertising the pay-per-view because most people can see it for free on the network anyway. The matches suck. The segment sucked. Huge waste of my hour. I only watched it because it's free and I had nothing else to do. I think I'm going to stopping watching the kickoff show because once again, there was nothing on this, so it's going to get a huge thumbs down from me, and for really disappointing that it really got off to a bad start. But thankfully, the actual pay-per-view started, and we got one hell of a match between Ziggler against Cesaro. We didn't just get one match, we actually got 2 matches because it's a 2 out of 3 falls match, with Ziggler getting 2 out of the 3 falls. Cesaro didn't actually get a pinfall whatsoever, which was a huge shock for me, and I was really shocked that Ziggler got the first pinfall as well. Usually you'd expect the challenger, the guy that's likely to beat Ziggler for the title, gets the first pinfall to build some momentum for him and add some unpredictability to the match. So I was hugely shocked Ziggler, the guy trying to retain his title, got the first pinfall, because you'd prefer Cesaro to get the first pinfall here, because then he's on the up, and you can have lots of close and small pinfalls, adding some momentum to that match, and you're expecting for a title to change. But Ziggler got 2 of the pinfalls, and Cesaro didn't even get a pinfall, which I was hugely surprised about. Cesaro controlled the match. He absolutely dominated the match. So I'm happy that even though Cesaro won, he goes out the match looking strong. But surely if they want him to go out the match, even if he lost, they still want him to look strong. I don't understand why they wouldn't have given him a pin. Now, it's surely obvious that they wanted Cesaro to look strong in this match, but if they wanted him to look even stronger, they should have at least given him the first pinfall. Because he's dominated the match, looked strong, but he actually didn't even get a pinfall in the end, which seems like a bit of a waste of time. I mean, you're building him up, making him look strong and dominant over Ziggler, but he never really got the final outcome, so what was the whole point in making him dominate Ziggler in the whole entire match? Now, Cesaro, he did dominate the most of the match, and Ziggler got his first pinfall with a roll-up pin, which I was quite shocked about. I'm not really sure what the point of the roll-up pin was, and what once again would have preferred Cesaro to get the first pinfall, to kind of add some more unpredictability to the match. But overall, even though we've seen Ziggler and Cesaro go up against it on Raws and SmackDown over the years, they brought something new to the table, which Goldust and Stardust and the Usos didn't manage to do later on in the night. Now, Ziggler and Cesaro have had so many matches together, and I wasn't expecting much new to be added to this match, but honestly, it was once again a really, really good match, one of the matches of the night, very, very entertaining. We got 2 matches instead of 1, and I mean, a 2 out of 3 falls match is a big match for an IC title. I mean, it's a big stipulation. Everybody wanted to see at least, well, if you get 1 match, it's great, but more than 1 match is even better, and that's what we got here. Really good way to start off the show. The crowd was so loud after the end of this match. To be fair, they were quite dead for most of the night, 90% of the night. The start of this match, they were really, really dead, because I predicted a Ziggler retain, because he retained on SmackDown, so there wasn't really much reason for him to even have this match on Hell in a Cell, so I just thought it was going to be a Ziggler retain. It was. So maybe that suggests why the crowd were quite dead. They weren't really into it because they kind of predicted a Ziggler win. But I think the performance of the superstars and how well they managed to control the crowd, it made them get really loud in the end. And they were so entertaining and put on a great match. The crowd ended up being really, really loud. And that was all down to the superstars putting on a great match. And honestly, kudos to both superstars because they put on one hell of a match. Loved the ending as well. The super kick causing a distraction to Cesaro. He's phased. And then straight after that, a zigzag. I wish Ziggler would use the super kick as his finisher because he uses it so well and it'd be great. But I really liked how they used the super kick as a distraction and then straight away the zigzag. I think it'd be cool if they used that more because that was great. It certainly felt like a pay-per-view ending. The crowd popped for the end when he hit the zigzag. It was a cool moment and I'm happy to see Ziggler retain. He's a great IC champion. His first successful title defense since winning the title back from The Miz. Great match against Cesaro. Loved it. Really good way to get the crowd pumped for the rest of the night. Very entertaining. We got 2 matches instead of 1. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Bit disappointing for Cesaro for 1, not winning the title, which I would really have liked to have seen, but not even get a pinfall. He comes out of the match looking strong and having the dominance, but he didn't get a pinfall and he didn't win the title. So it seems like they're not really sure what to do with Cesaro at the moment, so we'll have to see on Raw where his next direction is. It seems like at one point they're really high on Cesaro and then the next point they're really low. At this point I have no idea where the WWE is with Cesaro, and I really hope he gets a belt on him sooner rather than later because it's been a hell of a long time since Cesaro had a title around his waist, and I'm really giving up on Cesaro at this point. But all in all, a fantastic match. Ziggler and Cesaro, you gods. Thumbs up from me. To be honest, Nikki Bella against Brie Bella really was right at the bottom of the match card for me. I really was not excited for this. I felt, this has just got PG written all over it. I mean, the loser must become the winner's personal assistant for 30 days. How cringy does that sound? It's one of the worst stipulations you've ever heard. But in the end, the build towards this feud was really bad. The acting's been awful. But when it came to the match, I was hugely surprised how good the match actually was. Nikki Bella and Brie Bella, they're both sisters. They obviously have great chemistry, and that shouldn't have been overlooked when we came into this match because all in all, it was one hell of a roller coaster of a ride. This was a very, very entertaining match. I really, really liked this match. They gelled very, very well in the ring. Few little negatives. You could hear them talking a hell of a lot through the match. of different spots. You could really hear them throughout the match. And also, I didn't like it how Brie Bella hit her finisher really early on in the match. The commentators didn't really react, and the crowd didn't react, and Nikki Bella kicked out really easily as well. They kind of overshadowed her finisher a bit, and I'm not really sure why she hit it in the first place. I thought it was cool how Nikki Bella had to hit more than one finisher. Usually in a Divas match, or not really a high stakes match, you usually see one finisher put away a superstar, but she needed two to make her sister kick out in this match, which I thought that was great. They obviously gave it enough time, which was good. Usually Divas matches are rushed. Maybe they didn't give enough time to AJ Lee against Paige when you're looking at it in retrospect, but I thought this was a great match, and I thought Brie Bella, compared to Nikki Bella, was probably the little bit better performer. I think she really controlled the match very well, and the crowd was certainly on her side. The winner in the end was Nikki Bella, which I thought was the better option. I felt that the stipulation favours her more. I mean, it wouldn't really make sense for Brie Bella, the babyface, the good person, to have this stipulation where she can be bitchy and control Nikki Bella when she's a good person. That really won't fit the persona and the character they're trying to perform here. I mean, it wouldn't make sense for Brie Bella, the babyface, the good person, to be controlling Nikki Bella. That wouldn't work for the character. She's supposed to be a good person. So obviously it was quite predictable, but I thought this is really good. They gelled well, they had great chemistry, it flowed, there wasn't any rest holds like some Divas matches. It really was a fight, and it was good. Very good, and I think the best thing about it was how little I thought this match was going to be, but when it actually ended, I was like, wow, that really was a solid, good match. And I was taken by surprise how good it was, which I thought was great. I like to have some surprises in my wrestling, and that's certainly what I got here. So for me, I'm going to give it a thumbs up, but I wish Brie Bella would stop using the yes lock. It's really cringy, and she can't do it. It's really cringy. Really annoying. I cringe every time she does it. I nearly cringe as much when she says bitch as well. I mean, oh my god, she's really cringy. Her theme song's really good though. And I really like the storytelling in this match. I like how the commentators picked up on the fact that Nikki Bella hit Brie Bella like she hit her at SummerSlam when she turned on her. They used that as a sort of distraction for Nikki's finisher, and I really like the storytelling there where she punched her, used the same punch as what she used at SummerSlam where this all began, and that ultimately made the match end in Nikki Bella's favour. I like that. That was a nice little bit of storytelling at the end. All in all, very positive match, and I really liked it, and I'm interested to see whether we'll get Brie Bella against Nikki Bella at Survivor Series, maybe with a typical Survivor Series tag match, something like that. Not sure if you guys would want to see that. Maybe we could just have another singles match because it was pretty good at Hell in a Cell. Thumbs up from me. One match which doesn't necessarily get a thumbs up from me is Gold and Stardust against the Usos. It wasn't necessarily bad, but it just wasn't anything special. It didn't feel like a pay-per-view match. I mean, we've seen Goldust and Stardust against the Usos and Night Champions, and in the last few months, we've seen them go at it on Raw and SmackDown in six-man tags. So really, when it came to this pay-per-view match, you might have expected, since it was a pay-per-view, you'd see something new, see something special, or see something that's worth $50. And honestly, you didn't. There was nothing new here. There was nothing that stood out. It was basically a standard match. There wasn't anything that took you by surprise. It was just a normal standard 10-minute match. And it wasn't as good as the one at Night of Champions, which really annoyed me because you had a great match in Night of Champions. 1 month later, you'd expect there would have been more build into this storyline, and you'd expect a better match. They'd be able to top the match they did at Night of Champions. But I don't really think it came that close. I mean, it really was just a standard, boring, lame match, which really didn't deliver in the end. There wasn't anything exciting there. There wasn't anything. It was just a standard, plain match, which you'd expect on a Raw. Not a pay-per-view. Yeah, there really isn't a lot to talk about this. I mean, they came out there, they did their stuff, and that was that. There was nothing that stood out for me. It's not that the match was bad, like I've said, there just wasn't a pay-per-view feel to it. So in the end, I wasn't that satisfied with what we got on the pay-per-view. It's not that it was bad though, that's what I want to stress here. It wasn't that it's bad. Yet again, I'm questioning the Usos. What is the story that they tell? They come out there, they do their super kicks, their Samoan drops. They do what Rikishi did in the corner. They do their dives out to the ring. But what's the story they're trying to tell? As when you go past what they can do in the ring, there isn't really much. Their characters are actually quite stale when you look beyond what the Usos can do in the ring. So they lose their second pay-per-view in a match. Considering they were really over when they were the tag team champions, I'm a little bit worried for the Usos at this point on what their next step is, now that Goldust and Stardust have knocked them off cleanly. Which was the one thing that we did get from this match, which we didn't get from Night of Champions. And Night of Champions, there was a roll-up pin when Goldust and Stardust won. At this match, it was a clean win where Goldust pinned one of the Usos. That was that. It was a clean win here, which we didn't get at Night of Champions. That was the only thing that changed. And there is a little progression in there with the feud, with them finally winning cleanly. But apart from that, there was nothing that really delivered here and nothing that stood out. One little spot stood out, which was good, however, was the double superplex, where one Uso did a superplex and the other did a superplex at the same time. And they both ended up in the middle of the ring. That was cool, but if you look at it, not that great in the grand scheme of things, but it was a solid match. I'll give it a thumbs down because I didn't feel like it was worthy of a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. John Cena against Randy Orton. John Cena defeats Randy Orton to become the #1 contender for Brock Lesnar's title. Yep, this makes sense. This makes sense. This was the right result. Yes, Randy Orton is well overdue a babyface turn. Yes, he's become suddenly popular over the internet with the RKO vines. And it does seem like he is going to turn babyface thanks to what Seth Rollins did to him on Monday Night Raw. But when you look at this, John Cena made way more sense to win this match. There's not been a conclusion to the Brock versus Cena feud. We still need to have that final match where Brock or Cena gets the ultimate win. I mean, at Night of Champions, there wasn't a conclusion to that feud. We're still yet to see the conclusion between Cena and Brock Lesnar. Randy Orton doesn't fit into that title picture. He has no beef with Brock Lesnar whatsoever. He's already been the champion this year. He had a healthy long run. John Cena made more sense to win this match, and that's exactly what happened here. What was strange about this match was how over Randy Orton was with the crowd. They wanted to see them RKOs, and that's exactly what they got in this match. 2 RKOs out of nowhere, which I thought was awesome. Cena went for his usual shit where he runs against the ropes and does the shoulder tackle. RKO out of nowhere looked fucking awesome. Then Cena went for the AA, RKO out of nowhere. Both times they really were RKOs out of nowhere. I remember at the last pay-per-view at NOC where Jericho, Orton was stood up. Jericho went for a jump off the top rope, and pretty much what happened was Randy Orton caught him with the RKO out of nowhere. And we all saw it coming. It was so obvious. You could see it was coming 5 seconds before. But here, they really were RKOs out of nowhere. And it's obvious they did it because of the popular vines on the internet. And it was awesome. I think, if I'm looking at it, the best RKO was the first one where he was trying to do the shoulder tackle. We've seen the AA before where it's reversed into an RKO. But it still looked awesome. And I really did not expect it to happen. I thought it was cool. I thought it was a bit shit that Cena kicked out at both times. I don't really like it when you kick out of more than one finisher. I'm not really a big fan of that. I think it underpowers the finisher a little bit and makes it a bit stupid when you're kicking out of more than one finisher. Usually happens in Cena matches. Anyway, we ended up having 4 finishes in total, which is just beyond ridiculous at that point. I think that is really pushing it a little bit. Absolutely stupid. I think you should have 2 per person at max. I think 4 in total. Maybe it'd be a little bit too beyond the norm. I think that was a bit stupid. But anyway, I'm not going to dither on that for too much. I thought this match was fucking awesome. I really do think it was. Before the match started, I didn't think they were going to kick out of first gear. I thought, Cena and Orton, we've seen it before. Nobody really wants to see it. Why should we bother stepping up and making an awesome match? But I feel like they did need to make an awesome match because the crowd would have shit on it. And honestly, we would have been left with a bad taste in our mouths about the Orton and Cena feud overall. But I really think they kicked into 10th gear. I think this was an awesome match. It was so good. Really entertaining. I loved it. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it as much as I did. I'm going to be brutally honest. As much as I hate to say it, I enjoyed this John Cena versus Randy Orton match. I thought it was great. A very good match. The right decision with John Cena winning. The ending was great where he did the AA off the top rope onto the table. That looked fucking awesome. I'm going to be watching that on replays later today. Great ending to the match. It was explosive, entertaining. Wow. Cena and Orton once again proving they still are one of the best in the business. This really was a great match. You're going to have to rewatch this match again because there's a lot of stuff I honestly cannot remember because there was so many great things which happened in this match. I really liked it. Once again, Orton and Cena proving why they are the best in the business. And this match happened on the first hour of the show, which I was really surprised about. I mean, whether they thought that their card wasn't strong enough or their mid-card wasn't strong enough to hold up the whole pay-per-view for the 3 hours, I don't know, but they put this on the when the first hour ended. I was like, wow, this is early. I mean, I expected them to go Cena, Orton, then straight after Ambrose and Rollins. Maybe they thought that their card wasn't strong enough. I don't know, it just felt like it was a bit too early in the show when I thought that I thought the matches which went before it were doing okay, and I don't feel Cena and Orton maybe shouldn't have been placed on this so early on in the card. I don't think it was really needed. Maybe they thought if Sheamus and Miz went after the tag titles match, it might have dipped a little bit. Maybe that was a good option. What do you guys think? Do you think Cena and Orton going on early was a good option? Do you feel like it should have been now or should have been left for lower down in the card for later on in the night, considering it was for a match against Brock Lesnar? There was an argue that it could even have main evented the show, so for them to put it on after the first hour had ended, do you not feel that was a little bit too early, considering it's a number one contenders match? Should that have gone later on in the night? Am I nitpicking here, considering it was an amazing match? I'm going to go with the second best match of the night. Third best match of the night was Ziggler versus Cesaro. We're going to wait for the best match of the night, Ambrose against Rollins, because that was awesome. But for me, Cena and Orton gets a thumbs up. The correct decision was given. And honestly, thanks to whoever put that, because even though I didn't think I wanted to watch it, I really liked it. The United States Championship match between Sheamus against The Miz. This was a really easy match to predict. WWE are so game for this Sheamus run. I mean, he's been the champion for over 5 months. I have no idea how. They seem to be really into the idea of Sheamus being a champion. I mean, what? He's been the champion for 5 months. That is ridiculous. I mean, he should never have won it in the first place. He won it in a battle royal on a Monday Night Raw, and he's still the champion. Every time he seems to retain, which I find ridiculous. I don't understand how he's still the champion. He's so bloody boring as that US champion. But Miz just really wasn't built up to win this match. I mean, his Damien Mizdow was built up more than The Miz going in towards this match. The Miz is less over than Damien Sandow. Damien Sandow had the win over Sheamus on Raw. The Miz hadn't even had a match, had a win over Sheamus. Basically, Damien Sandow was more over than Sheamus, more over than The Miz, had more momentum than The Miz. The Miz hadn't really been built up to defeat Sheamus at all. This feud really shouldn't have happened in the first place. I have no idea why it happened in the first place. And honestly, The Miz's gimmick isn't one where you want them to be the champion. I mean, is his gimmick, his current gimmick with Damien Sandow, a comedy gimmick, really a championship worthy gimmick? Do you want to be putting your title on somebody who has that comedic gimmick? No, this isn't something you want to be walking around with a title at this point. This gimmick really isn't a United States Championship worthy gimmick. No way was The Miz winning here. It just doesn't work. And honestly, I have a really big gripe about Damien Sandow. Yes, it's freaking hilarious. I was laughing my head off. I mean, it was like 3 in the morning and I was laughing my head off. I probably woke up people in my house. It was hilarious, but it takes away so much from the match. I was so busy watching Sandow at ringside, I really can't comment on this match because I have no idea what happened, because I was too busy watching Damien Sandow roll around the floor. I mean, he really does take away from the match, and there's no doubt about that. He really does distract your eyes from this match. There's no question. He just does. You're not paying attention to the match, you're paying attention to Damien Sandow. So his whole gimmick is a flaw because you're not watching what's happening in the ring. Yes, he's reacting to what's happening in the ring, but you're too busy watching his reaction to what's happening in the ring. You don't watch the match, and it really took away from this pay-per-view match. So I have no idea what happened. My screen froze coming to the end. Apparently Sheamus won with the bro kick out of nowhere, which I'm not surprised with. I hate how they always do the bro kick out of nowhere. It's such a cheap way to end a match. I mean, how many times have we seen that? It's a really cheap way to protect the Miz here. We see it all the time where he does the bro kick out of nowhere. But Sheamus retains again. Correct decision once again. The match itself, I have no idea what happened because I couldn't really watch it. I was too busy laughing my head off at Damien Sandow. I don't suspect it was that good because the crowd certainly weren't into it. They were too busy laughing at Damien Sandow at ringside. Sheamus, I'm not a fan of his work. The Miz, I'm not a fan of his work. I didn't really want this match to happen. I probably would have rather watched Orton against Cena than Sheamus against The Miz before they happened. I don't think I was that into Sheamus against The Miz when it was announced. Obviously, yeah, I don't think really people wanted to watch this match either. I have no idea what happened. It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. If The Miz was going to win here, it certainly would have been deconstructive. So I'm really happy Sheamus won. I just really want to see Sheamus drop that belt because the United States Championship is doing nothing at the moment. I mean, I wouldn't even have noticed if this wasn't a United States Championship match. I mean, it literally looks like he's wearing a belt. He just doesn't talk about the United States Championship in his promos anymore. When was the last time he even did a promo? I mean, this belt needs to change hands because it's doing nothing on Sheamus at the moment. It really is doing nothing. But Sheamus was the more over guy. He should have won here. He did win here. No idea about the match. I suspect it was boring. Certainly not something you'd want to see on a pay-per-view. For me, it gets a thumbs up because I thought Damien Mizdow was absolutely hilarious. But once again, I want to stress, a big distraction to the match. It's a wrestling show. You want to be watching the wrestling rather than what's the entertainment on the outside. Big point made there. And then, following the match, we certainly get what the PG era is all about. Sheamus picks up Miz, starts doing the YMCA dance with the Miz's hands, and Damien Sandow copies exactly what the Miz's hands are doing. Yes, it was absolutely hilarious, but the last time I checked, this was World Wrestling Entertainment, and I was watching a wrestling show. If I wanted to watch something like this, I'd watch Strictly Come Dancing or The X Factor. I mean, this is a wrestling show. There was some great wrestling on this show, ruined by this PG era bullshit. I mean, YMCA, oh my god. Get me the hell out of here. This was really, really embarrassing. This is the kind of things that make me embarrassed to be a wrestling fan. Emphasis on wrestling fan, not entertainment fan. I mean, this was awful. I mean, you've got your champion dancing and prattling around doing the YMCA dance. I mean, is that really a champion? Dana White must be laughing at us right now because this is really, really embarrassing. You've got United States champion dancing around, playing around in the middle of the ring, in the middle of a pay-per-view, dancing around with a movie star, The Miz. I mean, if you were going to tune into this halfway through and watch this, you think you're on the CBBC channel or the Kids Show or Nickelodeon if they still do that. I mean, this was really embarrassing and I was cringing. I was embarrassed to be a wrestling fan. Yes, it was funny, but I want to be a wrestling fan, not an entertainment fan. Rusev defeating Big Show. Once again, Rusev wins. Yay! I mean, this guy has been doing the same feud for the last 5 months, just with different people. Firstly, Jack Swagger, then Mark Henry, then the Big Show. Nothing new here with Rusev. It's the same old thing every single pay-per-view. Once again, fails to impress me. Now, I thought for a Big Show match, this was pretty good. And I don't think it was the fact that Rusev brought the best out of Big Show. Because Rusev, really, since he debuted, he hasn't impressed me whatsoever. And I don't really think he will. I honestly have given him chance after chance after chance after chance after chance after chance after chance. And every time he fails to impress me. I mean, there's way too many rest holds in his match. The crowd really don't care for his matches. He really just hasn't impressed me, and I don't feel like this guy is going anywhere. I mean, the only real thing about his character is he's a foreign heel, and that's it. There's nothing else to his character. So once they kind of get away from this anti-America feud, what else does Rusev have to do? This Rusev character isn't going to last that long, which really frustrates me because 6 months into his debut, he still hasn't lost a pay-per-view match. He's won 99% of his matches. Why are they bothering building this guy so much up if his character isn't going to last that long? This guy isn't going to be around for the next 5 years. There's not a lot you can do with a foreign heel. So why the hell are they still giving all the momentum to Rusev when he really doesn't have a long lifespan in this character? I just don't understand it. They're building this guy up. They're feeding him with Big Show, with Mark Henry, with Jack Swagger, with Big E. You've got all these guys that are being fed to Rusev. He's getting all this momentum, but at the end of the day, this momentum isn't going to go that far in the grand scheme of things. If you're going to look at this time next year, I wouldn't be surprised if Rusev isn't going to be making your pay-per-views. I wouldn't even be surprised if the Rusev gimmick is completely worn out and you even change it entirely, because this character isn't going to go that far. But once again, we have to sit for a Rusev match where he squashes another opponent. I wouldn't mind these squash matches, but they're not that entertaining. 6 months later, they're not that entertaining. And I don't see anybody finding them entertaining either. I don't see what Vince McMahon sees in Rusev. This was Rusev's best match, but still a very boring and average match. And that's what I want to stress. And he still hasn't impressed me. I thought he looked great on his debut match, but ever since then he's just been so stale and boring. Too many rest holds. Not exciting whatsoever. And really, in the grand scheme of things, he's not really telling much of a story. He's been telling the same story for the last 5 months, and it's always the same result of his opponent tapping out to the camel clutch. It's not doing anything for me at the moment. It really is not doing anything for me at the moment. And then at the end of the match, JBL says, "An embarrassment to America." I mean, he must have used that quote 100 times in the last 5 months. I mean, every time somebody loses to Rusev, an embarrassment to America. Shut the fuck up. He says the same. I mean, maybe he's bored of this as well, because I'm certainly bored of this Rusev character. I'm bored of these matches. Another squash match on a pay-per-view. We shouldn't have to sit for a squash match on a pay-per-view. It's absolutely ridiculous. Boring. Did nothing for me. Just nothing. Nothing at all. I don't care he got this win. It doesn't do anything for me. I don't really know. I mean, thumbs down. It delivered nothing. Nothing at all. What did deliver was AJ Lee against Paige. This match was fucking solid. This match really was solid. Now, I want to stress, don't listen to the crowd, because the crowd ruined this match. They were absolutely dead, and if they were ecstatic, this would certainly have been the best Divas match of the year. There haven't been many good Divas matches of the year, but this would have been the best Divas match of the year. But sadly, the crowd, I think they're a bit worn out of AJ Lee against Paige now. Thankfully, AJ Lee won this match, retains her title, and the feud's pretty much over now. Maybe that's why the crowd were dead. They don't really care for this feud anymore. It's kind of a bit worn out at this point. But wow, what a good match to end the feud on. This was a solid match. Just please ignore the crowd's reaction, because if you ignore the crowd's reaction, if you mute the crowd and just watch the match, you're going to watch some immense wrestling. This was solid, a perfectly acceptable match. It was clean. There was nothing wrong with this match. It really was a tremendous show of what AJ Lee and Paige can do. And I think this really is the first time I've seen Paige, since coming up to the main roster, really show what she's worth. And this was great. This really was. It was everything that you want in a Divas match and more. Solid match. It absolutely sucks. It frustrates me that the crowd were dead, because It was a solid match. AJ Lee retains. They've given the better result. AJ Lee had to retain here. We don't want to sit through another Paige versus AJ Lee match. This was what should have happened at the end. It is exactly what it happened. It was a solid match. I'll be watching it again. They delivered on the night, and I'm quite sad that their feud's over now, because I wouldn't mind watching another match. I mean, it would have been better if it was in the Hell in a Cell. I know AJ Lee wants to do that. She wants to do a Divas match in a Hell in a Cell. But I mean, by God, they didn't need a Hell in a Cell to make this a good match, because it really was a good, solid match. Really disappointed it wasn't given enough time, though. I really think it should have been given a hell of a lot more time. I think maybe the Goldust and Stardust and the Usos match gobbled up a bit too much time, or maybe Sheamus and The Miz had way too much time for the match it was. AJ Lee against Paige was only given about 5 minutes, and I think these girls could have at least gone for 10. At least gone for 10. Because this was a tremendous show of what these two top divas can do. Certainly a thumbs up from me. I think this was the best divas match of the year. Is there any other that come close? I don't really think so. Are there any? I mean, maybe the SummerSlam match I think was pretty good. I mean, they've had a few. I know they've had a few, but I think this might be their best divas match. I'm not sure. Because, wow, this was a solid divas match. Thumbs up from me. What wasn't a solid match was Dean Ambrose against Seth Rollins. It was way more than solid. It was fucking awesome. This was one of the best matches of the year. Wow. This was the match we wanted to see. This is the main event we wanted to main event the show. This is the match we've wanted to see for so many months now. I think it's been about 6 months in the making. The build up to this has been so good. Every segment they've had building up to this has been absolutely awesome. So unique. The writing gone into this has been tremendous. This feud has had everything and more, and it's been topped off by an absolutely classic. This was an absolute classic. You guys are going to be watching this for years to come. It was an absolute roller coaster ride of emotion. They told an absolutely brilliant story. So good. This was the best storytelling I've seen in a feud in a long time. They told us a great story here. Ambrose comes out, gets out loads of chairs, and then climbs the freaking cell, invites Rollins up. He gets his two cronies to come up. Then Rollins blindsides Ambrose. They're on the top of the cell. They're brawling on top of the cell. They end up on the side of the cell. They both go through the two announce tables. That was a fucking awesome holy shit moment. That was probably the best holy shit moment I've seen in this year. I mean, they're both on the side of the cell, and they both end up going through one of the announce tables each. How good was that? Then Ambrose gets up from the stretcher, attacks Seth Rollins. I mean, the story here was he was not going to stop until he got his hands on Rollins and put him to bed, and that's exactly what he tried to do. That was the story they wanted to tell. They wanted to show that Rollins wasn't going to stop. He wanted to kill Rollins, and that's exactly what he set out to do. It was a roller coaster of emotion. I had goosebumps. I was so nervous for Ambrose to win. I wanted him to win. It was great. It was so good. I love Rollins and Ambrose both. Wow. This match was amazing. Period. So good. And then when they finally got in the ring, you saw Rollins put Ambrose through. You saw Rollins put Ambrose through a table with a powerbomb. You saw Ambrose put Rollins through a table with a jump off the top rope onto the floor using his elbow. This was a classic. He even got the Money in the Bank briefcase. Tried to use a curb stomp and failed, and then Ambrose tried to hit the Dirty Deeds. It really was an absolutely immense match. I mean, they would not stop. It was so good. You had a screwdriver out there. It was fucking awesome. You even had Kane use a fire extinguisher, and then he got the cinder blocks out, put Ambrose's head on. Ambrose is going to go for the curb stomp, which would have just made the match so freaking good. He's going for it, and then Bray Wyatt returns. I mean, I've got goosebumps. This was perfect. This was fucking awesome. I mean, you go from an Ambrose and Rollins feud to Bray Wyatt against Dean Ambrose. Can you imagine the promos these guys are going to do? This is going to be amazing. And imagine if they do Rollins, Ambrose, then Bray Wyatt in the same match. I mean, the possibilities are endless. This is going to be absolutely amazing. I have no idea what Bray Wyatt's doing here. We're going to find out soon. Wow. What a shock. What a shock. How theatrical was the end? It was absolutely amazing. I could not believe what I was seeing. I was so shocked. This is why I watch wrestling, for moments like this. Earlier in the night, I was really sad because Bray Wyatt wasn't on this show, but then he ends the show standing tall over Dean Ambrose. I mean, wow. I mean, holy shit. I mean, this was fucking awesome. Ambrose ready for the curb stomp. It goes black. Then you see a light in the middle of the ring with the silhouette, and then Bray Wyatt pops out of nowhere and then just choke slams Dean Ambrose in the middle of the ring, and allowing Rollins to pick up the win. I was so shocked. It was presented magnificently. It went black twice. Then the crowd all had their cell phones. Rollins pins Ambrose 1, 2, 3. Is Bray Wyatt on his own? Has he joined Triple H? And has he joined the Authority? Is he still a heel? I thought he was actually turning babyface. Nobody knows. Is he out for himself, or is he working for Rollins? Who knows? These are the moments I watch wrestling for, and I did not expect it to end with Bray Wyatt standing tall over Ambrose and Rollins. Wow. Little bit of negatives to go to this. Dean Ambrose hasn't had a big pay-per-view win in ages. He didn't win a Night of Champions. He didn't have a match in Night of Champions. He didn't win at SummerSlam. He didn't win at Battleground. He won at Payback. So the last time he had a big pay-per-view win, the last time he had a win was at Payback. So the last time he won was maybe 4 months ago. So he really needed a win over Rollins here. I really would have liked to see the Rollins and Ambrose feud conclude with Ambrose winning. I thought that was where they were going with this. I thought they were going to tell the story of him not stopping until he beat Rollins in the middle of the ring. I thought that was where they were going here. Ambrose is still yet without a win over Rollins. Rollins has the Money in the Bank to fall back on. Ambrose doesn't have anything to fall back on. So I think that they've risked a lot by making Ambrose lose here. I also feel like if Roman Reigns isn't back from his hernia injury soon, Ambrose is probably going to replace Roman Reigns as that top baby face guy. So surely you would have been wanting to have Ambrose get the win here if he needs all the momentum in the next upcoming months. But you've got to look to the future, which sometimes WWE don't do a lot of. But if he's heading to a program with Bray Wyatt, Dean against Bray Wyatt, that should propel both Dean Ambrose and Bray Wyatt to the moon and back. Hopefully that's going to create 2 great stars rather than 1. Maybe they're going to create more stars than what they would have done if Ambrose just got the win here. Who knows? Are they going to use Ambrose to put over Bray Wyatt? Are they going to make Ambrose and Bray Wyatt stars at the same time? Is they going to have a big blow-off feud to end the year? I don't know, the possibilities are endless. Where does Bray Wyatt fit into this? Are they going to give Bray Wyatt a main event push alongside Dean Ambrose? Are they thinking Bray Wyatt might be the top heel for some time? I don't know what they're going to do with this. I have no idea, and that's the absolute beauty of the ending of this pay-per-view. We have no idea where they're going with this. Is Ambrose and Bray Wyatt on the cards? Is Rollins, Ambrose on the cards for Survivor Series? Is Ambrose, Rollins, Bray Wyatt on the cards? Is Bray Wyatt even going to touch Ambrose after this? We don't know. I'm slightly disappointed Ambrose didn't get the win here. I think he should have had the win here. How awesome would that moment have been for the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view? Ending with Ambrose standing tall on the cell with the crowd all behind him. That would have been a great moment. But sadly, Rollins gets the win, which I disagree with. Since I've already said he has the Money in the Bank to fall back on. He's not doing too bad for momentum. Did he really need that win? Considering he's already got a win over Ambrose. I'm not sure he did, to be honest. I'm not sure I agree with that, but I thought it was a great way to bring back Bray Wyatt. And I'm also happy Bray Wyatt's a heel. I just don't think his gimmick would work as a babyface. Is he still with Eric Rowan and Luke Harper? We have no idea. That's all to come on Monday Night Raw, and that's the beauty of this. WWE is making you tune into Monday Night Raw tomorrow night, and that's exactly what they want you to do. Speculation is running wild, and that's exactly what the Bray Wyatt gimmick's all about, and that's exactly what I love about my pro wrestling. So all in all, the main event certainly delivered exactly what we wanted and the rest. It was a great main event. I loved it because my emotions were running wild. It was an absolute roller coaster of a ride about emotion. Wow, all in all, Night of Champions gets an 8 out of 10 from me. I thought Ziggler and Cesaro was great. Nikki Bella and Brie Bella exceeded my expectations. John Cena, Randy Orton exceeded my expectations. AJ and Paige exceeded my expectations. And Dean Ambrose and Rollins didn't exceed my expectations because I already knew it was going to be a fucking awesome match. And it was a fucking awesome match. Dean fucking Ambrose. Oh my god, this was absolutely an awesome pay-per-view. A great pay-per-view, guys. I hope you enjoyed my review this year. And this is the second Hell in a Cell. No, actually, this is the third Hell in a Cell pay-per-view I've reviewed. I did one in 2012. So yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed my third Hell in a Cell review ever. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 for Dean fucking Ambrose. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. 8 out of 10. I am buzzing for Monday Night Raw. John Cena's heading for a program with Brock Lesnar for their 5th match, a conclusion to that feud. It's going to be absolutely immense. Dean Ambrose against Bray Wyatt, is that on the cards? What's next for AJ Lee? Is somebody going to step up for the Divas title? When's Rusev going to be put to bed? I'm getting a bit bored of this guy. Sheamus needs to drop that title as soon as possible. What's next for Randy Orton now that he's lost to John Cena? I thought he might have been heading towards a title match, but no. Is Randy Orton going to turn babyface on Monday Night Raw tomorrow night? And who's going to be the next tag team champion contenders now that the Usos are out of the picture? Oh, and I'm excited to see how Nikki Bella's and Brie Bella's feud progresses. And what's next for Cesaro and Dolph Ziggler now that they've parted ways. All very exciting things to talk about in videos and for Monday Night Raw. This was a very successful pay-per-view for the WWE. I can't wait to get the network when it comes out in the UK. I'm sick of watching it on shitty live streams, but it didn't take away from how good this pay-per-view really was. Another great pay-per-view for the WWE this year. It's been one hell of a year for the WWE this year. So many things to talk about this year, and yet again it's topped off so far with another successful pay-per-view. 8 out of 10 from me, guys. Take care. As always, spike your hair.